All right, guys. We finished with the the roof plan as far as looking down on it in this direction, and next what we're going to do is do the roof section detail. Okay, so roof section detail, kind of like we did before, where we drew a section symbol. We have to have one of those. If you want to use one from a block that you have already created, go right ahead and do that. But just to show you again, I'm going to go through it really fast. To make that little symbol, I want to do a polygon tool using the polygon with 3 sides. Establish, hit the enter button, and then establish the center. Do a circumscribed about circle. Okay, and do it 6 inches. 6-inch triangle. Then take a circle, use the tan, tan, tan circle. Tan here, tan there, and tan here. Now you got the circle. Use the hatch tool with a solid hatch. Hatch inside the triangle. Take a line, draw it right through the middle of the circle. Take another line and draw it out about, 4 feet. That's good. Okay, and then draw the little club at the end. Come up about 8 inches or so. And I did not mean to do that crooked. Okay, so go up about 8 inches. Come over about 1 inch. And then come, whoops, I did that one crooked too. But then come down. And then, finish up right here. Take the hatch tool and hatch that in, just like so. And no, you don't want that little angle right there. I did that accidentally. But you just want to draw it like that. Okay. If you did not have a block, just create a block. And this is section symbol. Make sure specify on screen is checked for both base point and objects. Click OK. Base point here. Select the object and hit the enter button. All right, and then of course it would fit on the roof somewhere wherever you determined that you were going to do your roof section detail from. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my home tab, and I'm going to turn some of my layers back on. Let's just turn a bunch of them on here. Okay, so now you can kind of see what we are looking at right here. And what's going to be in the drawing, that we're going to draw, is going to be the ledge of the roof and part of this wall right there is going to be in our drawing. And we're going to come over here to just a little spot out to the side and start working on that. And of course we have to draw it to the same perception that we're doing it here. So we got to make sure that the overhang portion of what we're drawing is to the right. And then the wall part kind of falls under to the left. All right. So to start with, it's sometimes kind of hard to decide what it is you want to start with. I'm going to start with the wall because that's what I view. That's what I see is I see the wall first. All right. So I'm just going to draw a line. This is going to represent the wall. Okay. And it's no particular distance, anywhere between 6 and 8 or 9 feet is perfectly fine. Okay. So that is our wall. This is the outside of the house, and this is going to be the inside of the house right over here. Okay, so I need to put some of my material thicknesses in, all the different materials that go into my wall. So the first material I have from the outside going to the inside is going to be brick. Okay, so I'm going to offset that line to the thickness of our brick, which is going to be, we're just going to use a round number of 4 inches. Okay, and offset that. Okay, now that's our brick. After the brick, we have an airspace. Okay, so the airspace is 1 inch, so we got to offset again for that. And I'm just going to type 1 inch in there to make that 1 inch offset. Now, this line right here does represent part of my sheathing and also the vapor barrier. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my wide lines down here. And I'm going to also come over here to this and make it a thicker line, because that's going to be both the outside of my sheathing and my vapor barrier. I'm going to click on that line again. I'm going to offset it again. Okay. Specify offset. This is going to be for my plywood sheathing, so I'm going to offset it 3/4 of an inch to the left, and I'm going to select it, and I want to change it back to bilayer. All right, so that is my sheathing and my vapor barrier. The next is I have the core material of the wall. That's going to be the 2x4s and the insulation and all that stuff. That is going to be the thickness of a 2x4, or the width of a 2x4, I should say. And that is, guess, 3.5 inches. Okay, so offset again, 3.5 inches. And then my offset one more time for my drywall on the inside of the house, that's going to be 1/2 of an inch. All right, so now we got all the different layers. And what we're going to do, so we don't forget what everything is, we're going to go ahead and put our patterns together. So I'm going to go ahead and close off the top. I'm just going to put like a long line right here. Okay, no specific distance. Okay, another long line. You have to, when you do this line, you got to come here and find the point first, and then go over here and then just draw it. All right, now we're going to put our patterns in, and just remember, when you put your hatching patterns in, it's kind of best to be zoomed out like this. Sometimes you do have to zoom in to get a better look at something, but then that sometimes also creates problems. So if it does create problems, just make sure you zoom out and try to get it that way. All right, but I'm going to hatch my brick first. My brick is ANSI 31. All right, and the scale does not look appropriate, so I'm going to change that to a 5. And that looks a little better. Oh, and before I start scaling and everything, let's go down here and change our working scale to 1.5 = 1. And then I'm going to redo that scale. Where is 1.5 = 1? I'll redo that hatch. I know I'm looking right at it. I'm just skipping over it. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to delete that and hatch it again. I'm not sure if the scale setting actually affects the hatch or not. We'll see. No, it doesn't. Okay, but anyway, before I get carried away too far, just make sure we change that scale to 1.5 = 1 foot. Okay, so there we go. That's the brick. The next one's the air layer, which it gets no pattern. The next one is the plywood. It will get a pattern. It's going to get net 3. So scroll down to the end section. There's net 3. Put it right here over where that plywood is and click, and we got our plywood. All right. I think I'm going to, do I want to change the scale of that? Let's change it to about an 8. That looks a little better, I think. Change it to about an 8 on the scale factor up at the top. And again, this is where we put our insulation and stuff like that. We're going to leave it blank for right now. I'm going to do the drywall. Now, when we do drywall, we use the sand pattern. Just drop it right in there. Okay, now it's giving me problems. Okay, so I'm going to have to zoom out and then try to place it in there. It's kind of hard to do because it's small. There we go. Now it's in there. And I can see the scale needs to be worked with a little bit. Let's change it to a 0.25. That might be too small. And, whoops, I don't want to do that. Let me hit the undo button. Select it again. Let's change it to a 10. That almost made it disappear completely. Let's change it to a 5. Well, we're really going to have to play with this one. 1.025. 0.0025. I don't know what's going on here. Go back to 10. 20. 100. I really don't know what's going on with that sand pattern. It usually doesn't take that much effort to get it. Let's click on it and delete it. Let's set this back to 1. Start over. Oh, there we go. I don't know what was going on with that, but right now I'm at a scale of 1, and there it is. Okay, so let's change the scale again. We want to get a little bit tighter. 0.25. That's what I was trying to get to originally, but it wasn't behaving. Okay, so we got all of that situated, and you know, because this is the we're just going to leave that right there as it is right now. All right. Now, what do we do next is, let's think about this for a second. We got to draw some stuff in here. And we're going to start drawing right in here. We got to draw what's called the double top plate. This is an exterior load-bearing wall, so it gets these what's called top plates, or these 2x4s. They're just like the seal, they're like anything else, but they're up at the top, and it's 2 of them together. And of course, we remember the dimensions of that is 1.5 by 3.5. So I'm going to start here, and because I've got 2 of them, I'm going to go ahead and just start my line, or I'm not drawing a line, I'm just turning on the geometry. Okay, I'm going to pull this down 3 inches. Okay, right there. All right, I'm going to pull another one down. 1.5 inches. Take it to the other side. And then I'm going to draw my X's in it. Okay, so there's my double top plates. Okay, there's my 2 2x4s. Now I want to draw the roof, start drawing the roof. I'm going to have 2 pieces up here. One's going to be called the ceiling joist, which is going to be horizontal. The other one's going to be called the rafter, which is going to be diagonal. So the ceiling joist, let me think, it actually comes all the way to the very end right here. We're using, this is where we're getting into some different sizes of lumber. So the roof joist, or the ceiling joist, and the rafter are going to be 2x8s. And if you look 2x8 up on the internet, which you'll be expected to, because you'll probably forget what the size of a 2x8 is. Okay, so you look up nominal size of lumber, and you get all these charts and stuff. We're looking for a 2x8 somewhere on here. Okay, but we want to get, now 2x8 is the nominal designation for it. It is not the actual size. Okay, so one of these charts should show us a 2x8, and one does right here. 2x8, 1.5 inches by 7.25. So the ratio kind of changes a little bit from after you get past the 2x6, the ratio changes. So whatever, we just want to go with that 7.25 inches. Okay, so to draw that rafter, I mean not the rafter, but the joist, we're going to go up 7.25 inches and draw across this way to, it doesn't matter how far, okay, just draw it. And then we're going to take this line that we borrowed earlier, or made earlier, and we're going to borrow it, bring it out to the length of this line. Okay, so this is our piece of wood. This is our 2x8. Now the next one is going to be diagonal. It's going to be our rafter. And we have to determine our roof pitch. Okay, this is where things might be getting a little bit confusing. You remember in math class, I hope you do anyway, I hope you paid attention that day, but when we talked about slopes in math class, okay, we're going to use a slope here. And we have different ways of measuring our slopes. I'm not sure if you did it this way in math class or not, but out on the job site and in the construction industry, we base our slopes off of a standard 12-inch segment. Okay, so like a 12-inch segment, a horizontal 12-inch travel, if you want to call it that. Okay. So how do I establish my slope for this rafter? Okay, so the rafter is going to come right through here. It's going to go up like this. So this is where I have to determine my slope at. All right, and it's going to require me to draw another line on top of this line. It's really going to be a temporary line. But I'm just going to start right here at the corner. Well, actually, I don't have to draw the line. I just need to activate that point. And I'm going to pull my cursor out 12 inches. That's where I'm going to start this line. Now my slope is going to be 6 inches over that 12 inches. So you hear people talking about a term, it's called rise over run. You need to remember this term, rise over run. That means your rise, or the roof rise, the slope itself is going to go up 6 inches within a 12-inch space, within a 12-inch horizontal space. So I'm going to draw this line 6 inches, and I drew it crooked. Would you believe that? Okay, let me start that over. Six inches. Okay, so that establishes my slope. So from here to here, that's where my joist is going to come right across. I mean, not my joist, but my rafter is going to come right across that wall. Okay. And here, I'm going to take this line, I'm going to keep that same angle. And in order to keep the angle, now I could draw it and stuff like that, pull it out and draw it. And when I do, it kind of gets all, you can go all kinds of directions and get all off and weirded out and everything else. I want to keep the integrity of that angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line up here, like so. A straight vertical line. It doesn't matter how far. You do want it to kind of come up here, because what you're going to do is you're going to shoot this line right up over that by using the trim tool, holding down the control or the shift button, and then extending that line until it extends up to here. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to offset this line. Again, this is a 2x8, so we're going to offset it 7 1/4 inches. So 7.25 inches offset. Okay, and we're going to continue drawing this out, and we're going to have to shoot this line because our overhang comes out 12 inches from the side of the building. So how do I establish that? Well, I need to put a line somehow up here that's 12 inches out from the side of the building. Let's go ahead and take this line. Let's borrow this one. I'm going to draw it back here, and then I'm going to drop it. Okay, that way I can click on it again, pull it out to the right, and add 12 inches to it. All right, take another line, pick up that geometry, and just draw like this. Okay, now I can shoot this line using the trim, holding down the shift button, and just keep shooting it until it comes to that vertical line. I'm going to do the same with this one, but I'm going to have to come back and cut parts of it out. Or I could do something else, probably. Yeah, I think I will do something else, because that's going to take forever to do that. Okay, so let's go back and trim that back out, cut it out. Okay, and what I can do, I can offset this line, since I already figured out my slope. So yeah, of course, you know, we could have done this a different way, but we're going to do it this way now. So offset it 7.25 inches. And now we have that. We don't have to worry about shooting it through all these different lines here. Go to the trim tool, hold down the shift button, and then shoot. It comes to that line right there. Okay, now some trimming. We're going to trim that out, this out, and this out, and this out, I think. All right. Now, as far as our brick wall and some of our other items here, we can actually adjust those. Well, let's see. They used to give you a little grip up here that you can pull this down with, but I don't see that grip. I'm probably just moving it down. That's probably all I'm doing. Let's see if we can do this. Let's do the trim. Okay. Trim that out. Trim that one. And that one. Okay. And trim that. Trim that. Okay. Got it. Okay. And we'll do some more drawing here. Now this right here, this drywall just comes straight across. Or actually, no, it doesn't. Let me back up here. Let's back up. Okay, go back to here. Do the trim tool, and you want to only trim this. You don't want to trim the drywall, the sheathing at all. It stays just like that. Trim that, and your hatching. All right. Now go into some of this roof stuff you got here and trim all the lines out that cross through some of this other material, like so, because that is actually cut to shape. It's cut right around this. That piece of lumber is cut to fit right on top of that wall. Now, as far as our bricks are concerned, we do want to do this. Draw this right across here and hit the trim tool and start trimming out portions of that. Okay, now that's what it's going to look like. We got some more trimming to do up here. Trim this out and this out. Okay, they actually cut that piece too of that roof, that ceiling joist. They cut that out just like that. Let's cut this out. That was what we used to establish our slope. Now, looking at this, one of our pieces of wood is going to be behind the other one. So this piece, the joist, I'm going to put behind the rafter. Okay, so I have to take this much line right here and make it into a hidden line. So I might go up here to the Modify tab and use this tool right here, this Break at Point tool. Select it, select the object I want to break, and then select the point that I want to break it at, which is right here. Select that segment of the line that we just created, pull this down, turn it into a hidden line. Okay, so that is hidden line because it goes behind that rafter. Okay, think if there's anything else that needs to be done with regards to that, and I don't think so. All right, so that has gotten us this far. Let me see how far we are into the recording. Okay, we might be far enough. If we've gotten this so far, this is basically our roof. Do this. Go ahead and pull this on up to here. And I messed it up. Hit the back button if you did what I did. Do it like it should do. Hit the trim tool, hold the shift button down, and extend it. All right, so here's where we'll stop. We got to come in and fill in some more detail right around in this area right here. So that's what the next video is going to be. It's going to be filling in that detail.